and offices, I'll call to city council meeting, and we'll start with roll call.
T. Erickson.
Here.
Lambert. Stunek.
Here, there, and everywhere.
Pritchett.
Here.
Bevins.
Here.
W. Erickson. Johnson.
Here.
And Badeau.
Here.
That brings us to the next item on the agenda, which is the approval of the agenda. Looking for a motion.
So moved, Bevins.
Second, Pritchett.
A motion by Bevins, a second by Pritchett to approve the agenda as presented. Any discussion? Seeing none, we'll vote by roll call.
T. Erickson.
Yes.
Lambert.
Yes.
Stunek. Stunek.
Yes.
Pritchett.
Yes.
Bevins.
Yes.
W. Erickson.
Yes.
And Johnson.
That motion carries. That brings us to the next item, which is the consent calendar. Notice to public, all matters listed are considered routine by the council and will all be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless good cause is shown prior to the time the council votes on the motion to be adopted by roll call.
Bevins moved to adopt. Second.
Motion by Bevins, a second by Chad. Is there any discussion on the consent calendar? Seeing none, we'll vote by roll call.
T. Erickson.
Yes.
Lambert.
Yes.
Stunek.
Yes.
Pritchett.
Yes.
W. Erickson.
Yes.
And Johnson.
Yes, that motion carries. It brings us to the next item on our agenda, which is the dangerous dog hearing and determination. And I got handed over to Joe here.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Again, before you is this dangerous dog hearing determination. What this is an appeal of that determination. I'm just going to go through some background on this and then turn it over to the dog owners who I understand are on the line. So the dog is owned by Joshua Hall and Erica Olson. There are several incident reports leading up to this point. Most important of which occurred on January 9, 2020, at which time the dog was deemed potentially dangerous by animal control. That determination was not appealed. So as of January 9, 2020, the dog was deemed potentially dangerous. And then on April 22nd of 2020, there was another incident where the allegation is that the dog, whose name is Rain, attacked another dog on private property. And that led to the determination by animal control, Mr. O'Brien, that the dog has reached the next level, which is a dangerous dog. Pursuant to city code, that has been appealed by the owners of the animal. And under the code, the owners have the right to present evidence in opposition to the existing designation of the animal as dangerous. Following their input, the animal control officer, Mr. O'Brien, can present evidence that supports the determination that he made that the animal is dangerous. And I believe there's one or two witnesses. I believe the owner of the dog that was attacked would also like to speak. And following the evidence presented to the council will then make a determination of the facts and issue an order as to whether or not said animal is properly characterized as dangerous. If the council makes that determination, then we're going to have a discussion about what the ramifications are, what the different options are, and so forth. So that's the process. So at this time, again, the dog has been designated and dangerous, subject to this appeal, and now would be the proper time to open up the floor, so to speak, to the dog owners, Mr. Hall and Ms. Olson.
Okay, we have a quick question from Kelly, I think, before we...
Mr. Chair, may I ask a question of the attorney?
Absolutely.
Joe, recently, when we went through this most recently, you had put forth a criteria, not 30 criteria, but like one. I thought there was, as to what the determination should be based on. Is my memory correct? And can you please restate that to the best of your ability if I'm not incorrect? It was something about, did you fear for the dog, or I can't remember what it was. Or
Yeah, hold on. I don't have that in front of me at the moment.
I have it right here in front of me, Joe.
Is that
Yeah, go
Mike?
ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so the criteria to move from potentially dangerous dog to dangerous dog, there's basically three things, and it's right here on the form, which you guys should have. And, you know, on the above date, said dog without provocation inflicted substantial bodily harm on a human being. The second criteria would be the dog killed a domestic animal without provocation while off the owner's property. And then the third criteria is after having been found potentially dangerous, the dog aggressively bit, attacked, or endangered the safety of humans or domestic animals. And that's the one that it met. Or that's the one we're saying it met.
thank you.
Okay, well then I'll open up the line. I see Erica is here. Who's the other dog owner?
Joshua Hall.
So yeah, Joshua, I can hear you, Erica. Joshua, will you say something?
Here. I'm on the line with Erica.
Okay, you're on Erica's line. Okay, let's mute the other call-in users then, and we'll just have Erica and Joshua present their case.
All right, how long do I have to talk?
As long as you want, within reason, I suppose.
I have quite a bit to say. Starting with, he has a situation, I believe it was in October. He had a filed report of rain having attacked a dog in our vicinity, in our neighborhood. We went and contacted the city. We got all of her reports sent to us. So we've seen them all. In the report, it says that she attacked a dog. We know the owners, we know the dog. It's some sort of coonhound, that she punctured it. Well, I just went and talked to them, and they said Rain has never, our Mastiff, they said specifically, our Mastiff has never done anything aggressive. She's gotten loose. She's guilty of being a runner. She's guilty of getting loose. We've solved this with recently getting a in-ground electric shock fence system, and also she's old. She made it one block recently when she did get loose in April. These people said that Rain has not ever been aggressive. It was not Rain, it was a husky. It might have been our husky, but they said it was 3 years ago, and our husky was a puppy 3 years ago. So in that report, he completely falsified that it was even our dog. In another report, he said that he came into our backyard, because Josh and I have caught him harassing us in our backyard, inside of our fence. And he claims he was never there, but we've both caught him. And he also claims he was on public property when he was parked behind our backyard in the alleyway, which is actually private property owned by our neighbors. He also wrote in his report that he saw Josh in the backyard. He walked back there without invitation, and that Josh was standing next to a collie that was tied up in our yard. We've never owned a collie. There are so many inconsistencies as far as time, everything with this man's reporting. It shows that he has no credibility, no honesty, no integrity. He also claims that Rain showed aggression one of the times that he caught her, and that he feared for his life, so he hit her in the head with a pole. Our dog loves men. Irrational, but she loves men. She would jump into any strange man's car. She loves men so much, specifically. She loves children, but she loves men a lot. She has not ever acted aggressively or growled at any person, ever. And either he's making this up completely, or he did something that pushed our dog to where she growled for the first time at a person. I've got paragraphs and paragraphs of inconsistencies. I've got our neighbors saying they will claim and be witnesses to the fact that it was not our Mastiff who attacked their dog. And concerning the dog that was attacked in the backyard, supposedly, on April, Rain got loose for about 8 minutes, My kid told me. I went out, I grabbed her from the neighbor's house next to us, not the neighbor's house behind us who owned the dog. I never saw my dog in that yard. They claimed that Rain attacked. I never even saw their dog. I asked them politely, after being attacked by them in the alleyway behind my house when I grabbed my dog, I asked them if their dog, out of concern, was injured, punctured, any soft spots, any seizures, anything like that, any vet necessary. And they said no. They said that, so the mother gave me her version of events, which was that Rain went into the yard when she had the dog out, the little tiny dog they own. Rain rushed and attacked their dog. She said she screamed. Rain bolted. And that was when the rest of her family showed up and came to see what she was screaming about. So no one else witnessed this besides her. This was the account that she gave me. I asked her politely if I could see her dog. I did not demand, as Michael O'Brien stated in his report, I did not trespass on their yard. I asked them politely if I could see the dog to see if there was any injuries, because I am taking vet tech classes and I wanted to see, I wanted to help. I was concerned if my dog did attack their dog. But I don't think she did. I think what happened was our dog rushed in, she got excited, she wanted to play. And this woman saw a giant dog in comparison to her little dog, and she panicked and freaked out and screamed. And then hysteria occurred after. She said that the only evidence of Rain, and so did Michael, he said he witnessed the dog and that the evidence of Rain attacking their dog was slobber and leaf debris on their dog. When our dog is happy, she slimes, she foams, she's a mastiff, she's really jolly. When she's happy, she does that. And that's just even more proof she was trying to play. There's so much. Like, there's no proof that our dog was even in that yard. There's no pictures, there's no evidence, there's no injury. As I was leaving her yard, she said to me that she was giving her dog a bath recently and that her dog had a skin tag. She said she believes the skin tag is a scar from when Rain attacked her dog last. I'd never heard anything of our dog attacking their dog. They're our neighbors, they've never said anything, and Michael never came and approached us about anything. There's no report of anything concerning their dog being attacked. Michael O'Brien has gone back and forth with inconsistencies, saying that he's got 6 witnesses to my dog being aggressive, then saying he has 8 witnesses, then saying that the neighbors with the coon hound witnessed when they just clearly told me they didn't. He told me that one time he told me that our dog attacked the neighbor's dog with the little dog behind us 3 times. Another time he said 2 times. If you were to see the size of our dog in comparison to the size of our neighbor's dog, and them stating that our dog attacked their tiny dog more than once, but their tiny dog has never sustained any injury, that is outrageous. Our dog is not an aggressive dog. She is very family friendly. She absolutely adores babies and children. She is a lover of all people. And I don't believe any of this. I think this woman was scared. And I think that she just had a little bit of hysteria going on. And I think Michael O'Brien has had it out for us. And he took this and he flew with it.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? Any council questions of Erica? Seeing none, will
My big fear is that if she gets deemed a dangerous dog, with there being no proof of her attacking, no picture evidence, no witnesses besides this one woman, if this case gets stated that she's a dangerous dog, then what happens when someone else tries to claim my dog did something and they didn't? She gets put down. She's put to death. All because people are worried about this big dog. They see a big dog and they think danger. We're in the vicinity of 8 pit bulls within a 3-block radius. Another dog that looks exactly like Rain, 1 block down, and multiple German Shepherds and large breed dogs within our neighborhood. Every single animal attack seems to be blamed on Rain. We live on the Paul Bunyan Trail. We have bear sightings. We have many things on that trail. I think it's irrational, and I think it's inconsistent of him to blame everything on our dog. He's shown that he lies in his reports multiple times, and I can send you emails with highlighted points on that. And I can even send you videos of our neighbors reporting that she's a good dog. We have witness statements of her character and everything.
Okay, thank you, Erica. Is that everything you wanted to present to us tonight?
There's so much, but I think that's everything.
Okay, then we'll toss it over to Mike to present what he has for us.
Okay. That's a lot. That's a lot. I just got off the phone with Matt, and first of all, the alleyway, I've never been inside their backyard in the fence. I'm not sure what. Can you guys hear me?
I can, yep.
Perfect.
Yeah, we can hear
I've
you.
been inside their back fence. I'm not sure where she's getting that. The alleyway is public property. It's actually.
It's not an alleyway, actually.
Well, if you look it up.
No,
I
no,
did, actually.
we are not going to do that. Guys, everybody stop. We are not going to do that. Erica, you were given your opportunity to speak. Now it's Mike's opportunity to speak.
Okay, if you go on to Crow Wing County, the land website, Crow Wing County, on the dirt road that's behind their house, it's public property. I was on there. I was absolutely on there. I took a picture of their back fence to show that there's an 8-foot section of fence that's basically knocked over. I've been in there directly next to their garage is a neighbor's house, and I've been in that yard several times because they've had multiple complaints. When I showed up in October, I think it was the 25th, I've got it here somewhere. Yeah, October 25th, to the coonhound she's talking. And first of all, this coonhound incident doesn't bear any, it's not even really considered here because I only gave them a warning for it. That's not what we use to determine the dog is a potentially dangerous dog. And it's certainly not what we use to determine the dog is a dangerous dog. It's just more evidence of its aggression. But Rain, the Mastiff, was still in their yard when I got there. I was very close by when the call came in. I'm not sure why, but these people are a little bit intimidated by the dog owners, and they don't want to be on the meeting. But I stand by that report. That report's 100% accurate. There was a lot. I was taking notes, but I had a call too. I wanted to call Matt. As far as why the dog was labeled potentially dangerous, that is right. So yeah, in January, I did strike the dog. I wasn't in fear for my life. I was in fear for my safety. It was late at night. This dog was probably a half a mile away. It was across Southeast 13th Street in the woods on a little river by Willow Avenue, Willow. And I had followed the Husky and the Mastiff. I had several calls of them, located them in a yard on 11th Avenue Southeast, followed them with my truck where they went into the woods. The big dog was falling through the snow, with crusty snow. The smaller dog was able to walk on the snow, so he was able to just evade me really quick. I followed the Mastiff to a small creek bed, and this is late at night. It's very dark. And it kind of got to where it was tired out or something, and it just stood. So I went up with I use a choke pole, and it's basically an aluminum pole that every animal control officer would have, and you can put it on him and secure him with it, and then lead him back to the vehicle. And he aggressively growled, snarled his teeth at me, or she did, snarled her teeth at me, and approached me, and I absolutely struck it. In fact, I called, and I wasn't sure if I needed to file like a use of force report or anything like that. It didn't injure her or anything, but it stunned her enough that I was able to get the choke pole onto her, over her head, lead her back to my truck, and bring her to heart. And it was that instance which we used to label the dog a potentially dangerous dog. The next day I got a phone call, and in the yard where I first located him on 11th Avenue Southeast, a guy had some rabbits that were his rabbit cages, his daughter's rabbit cages. There were 6 rabbits that were killed. I can't prove that there was these dogs, but this is ironically enough the exact yard where I first met up with these dogs. So I met with Erica at Hart, explained what happened, gave her the potentially dangerous dog paperwork, explained, the ramifications. Now that, we determined this dog to be a potentially dangerous dog. I'm really sorry. I have kids coming in my shop right now. I'm busy, Charlie. Now that we have labeled it a potentially dangerous dog, if, there's another act of aggression, we would move to label it a dangerous dog. And I explained the process to appeal or contest the potentially dangerous dog notice, and they didn't. On April 22nd, I think it was, I got the call that the Rolf's dog had been attacked. And I showed up not very long later and met with them. I had them bring the dog out. The dog was still clearly scared. It was still covered in debris, and it was slimy where I assumed that the dog had grabbed it. I didn't see any puncture wounds on it, but the report that I had got from Kathy and Kirsten, they definitely believe that this dog was attacking their dog, and they were able to stop it. During that time, I received a phone call from Erica, and she asked if I was going to come and talk to her about the incident. She said, I never did, but that's not true, because I went over right away after that and spoke with them. And I had another guy with me as a witness. So we came over there right away. It was the same day. I'm not sure why she's saying that, but I explained to him that it acted aggressively again. And we were now going to be labeling this dog a dangerous dog under the Minnesota state statutes. And that's what we did.
Okay, thank you, Mike. So I have a question for Joe. What statutorily, what are we looking for? What does the city council do now that they've been presented this information?
Well, before we get to that point, Mr. President, I'm wondering if the Rolfs are online. I believe they wanted to speak. Mike, are they online?
We unmute the call-in users, Sean?
They are on the line.
Then I would have the council invite the Rolfs to make whatever statement they wish to make about the incident that happened on April 22nd.
All right, if the Rolfs are on the line, please state your name.
Kathy Rolfe.
Okay, Kathy, go ahead and give us your story.
Okay. My husband and I were out and we came back, and Charm and I got out of the vehicle. My husband went back around by the garage to go in, and I went to put the key in the door, and when I was turning the key, I heard some rustling in the right next to me. So I turned back and looked, and this dog had its mouth around Charm, like by the neck area or whatever. And then I went to say, get out, get out. And the dog would not leave. And then it took Charm and flipped her in the air on her back. And she started like pulling her with her, like how I don't even know how to explain it, shaking her head. And so I started screaming and saying, get out, and it wouldn't leave. So I just went at it. I didn't touch it because I didn't want it to bite me. And so then it took off, and I was still screaming for my husband. He come and said, what's wrong? And I said, a dog was attacking Charm. And he said, well, where'd it go? And I said, I don't know, because the Charm I was trying to see if she was okay, console her. She was shaking terribly and whining and whimpering, and I turned around, and the dog was sitting there staring at me, and its hair was like up on the back of its head, and it was growling at my husband because he came to see what was wrong, and it was growling at him, so he told it to get out, and it wouldn't leave or move, so he chased after it, and it started growling at him again, and took off running finally, and he went to the backyard to chase it out of there. And then I took Charm in because she was shaking so bad. I put her in the house, and she went right to her kennel, and she would not come out for me. So then I went back outside and went to
see what was going on in the backyard, and that's when the neighbors were going. She had a leash in her hand, and she said, "I got to go get my dog." And I said, "Well, we've talked to somebody to come and talk to you." And she just kept walking and went to go get her dog. And then she came multiple times and asked about Charm, and I said, "I can't, she won't even come out of her kennel right now. She's so shaken up over this." And it's the second time that this has happened. I wasn't here for the first one, but this is the one that I was here for.
Well, thank you. Any,
Can I just say one more thing really quick?
yeah,
Ms. Olson said that, their dog is so big and powerful and strong, and the Rolf's dog is so small. If it acted aggressively towards it, it would have killed it. And that isn't the standard for acting aggressive. A dog can certainly act aggressive and not rip another dog in half, regardless of the size. That's it.
okay. Alderman Pritchett.
I just have a question. Was Charm actually hurt? Were there any injuries on Charm?
I didn't see anything. There was no blood. And there's a few marks on her that I can't explain where they would be from.
Was she limping, or was she tender, or anything like that, or just scared?
Yeah, she was tender. And she kind of had a little bit of a limp. Our dog plays with big dogs all the time. So it's not that she was afraid of the dog or anything, but after it did that to her, she wouldn't even go outside to go to the bathroom. It took her a long time to even do that.
Okay, any other questions from any members of the council? Of any of our witnesses? Kevin Stunek.
I have a question. Correct me if I'm wrong, but do we not have an ordinance that dogs need to be leashed?
In parks for sure, right?
We definitely have an ordinance that a dog in the city of Brainerd cannot be off your property and off the leash unless you're at like the fenced-in Buster Dog Park down by the river.
So that these dogs running around are against the ordinance that we've created.
Yeah, and I have written them 3 different citations for no license and dog at large or off their property, which as far as I know, they have failed to take care of.
Okay, well, that's what I was led to believe. So that's all I have to say on that issue.
Yeah, there's definitely an ordinance about keeping your dog secured.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Stunek. Any other questions or comments? If not, Joel, guide us on what's next. You're muted, Joe.
I didn't click hard enough, apparently. Mr. President and Council, so under the ordinance, the next step is the council shall make a determination of the facts and issue an order as to whether or not said animal is properly characterized as dangerous. And if they do decide that the animal is dangerous, then we get into a discussion about what terms and conditions will be put on the animal moving forward. And there's quite a variety of things that can be done in terms of going forward, and we can certainly get into that. But the initial discussion at this point is whether the facts that have been presented to you by the 3 witnesses are sufficient to maintain that designation of dangerous.
Okay, well, then I will open the floor up for a motion if somebody has a motion one way or another. It is in the ordinance that the council must make a determination. So we either need to say this is the correct determination or it is incorrect. Kelly, you're muted.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. having owned I'm going to make the motion and then I'll see if it gets a second and then I'll give my explanation. My motion is this is not necessarily a dangerous dog based on the facts, and I so move.
Second.
We have a motion by Bevins and a second by Pritchett. Go ahead and speak to the motion, Kelly.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I've owned many large dogs, and I understand both dog owners' perspectives of the dog is big. It can present an imposing figure to another human and certainly to a smaller dog. It sounds like the smaller dog may have been traumatized. I get that. For the dog to, I think the problem here, and I hate to be direct, but I think the problem is with the dog owner. The dog owner seems to not want to take care of their dog, and there should be some repercussions against the dog owner. But I'm not sure that the dog is as much the problem as the owner is. And I've had big dogs, and I've had big dogs that get away from people, and including my own family members. And we had to get rid of the dog on our own because we couldn't control the dog. And I think that's the circumstance here. And I think the follow-up should be if this dog owner refuses to take or is unable to take care of the dog has to be taken away and either removed from the home or put down. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean the dog's a problem. It means the dog owner's a problem. But that's where I would go with this. I would direct our dog, Michael, to notify us if there's any further issues, and this dog would be removed from the household and put down or placed in a home. That's where I'm going with this. Dog might be fine.
Thank you, Kelly. Mike, do you have a response to Kelly there?
I don't know under what ordinance you would then decide that they're not taking care of their dog good enough and then go remove it from the home, though. We can't just decide to do that. There must be a law that we're following.
Yeah, and I was going to ask Joe what legal recourse we have to remove dogs from homes.
Yeah, Mr. President, when you get into the dangerous dog portion, you certainly have the right to do that. If you're outside of that, it gets a little more difficult in terms of process. Certainly, we've got an issue where we've got multiple offenses with this dog not being registered, running at large, and so forth. There is a provision that if we've got multiple violations of not having, well, that gets into a dangerous dog though. We have to look through it. And see what we've got. I don't know that off the top of my head that I can tell you that there's a straightforward provision whereby if this dog is run loose again, we get to take it away from the owner. We may have to work through some other process before we get to that point. But certainly, they need to take care of the fact that this dog, last I heard, is not and never has been properly registered, is not licensed, and has not been properly secured for quite some time.
Kelly?
It is actually licensed. Their other dog is not licensed, and they've never given me proof that the dog has actually been vaccinated for rabies. The only reason it's licensed is I wouldn't release it from heart until they purchased a license.
Okay, thanks, Mike. Kelly, you have a follow-up?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I believe I misspoke when I made my motion. Now that Attorney Langle has clarified the legal procedure, and I wish to withdraw my motion.
Okay, that motion is withdrawn. Alderman Pritchett?
I think this is a really unfortunate situation. I agree with a lot with what Kelly was said. I don't believe this is an aggressive dog. Had that dog actually attacked a smaller dog, I think there would have been more damage. I mean, I've had several large dogs. I've had dogs have their hackles up when they're playing and growling. And I think if you've ever seen a Mastiff, they're a big beast, and they can scare you without even meaning to. I do not want to see this dog put down. I agree with Kelly. I think the dog needs to be kept in the yard, but I don't think the dog should be put down. I won't vote for a dangerous dog if that's going to be the repercussions. If we can come up with some other plan, then I definitely would vote for the designation.
Okay, Mike?
Yeah, thank you. If you guys vote to have this, that the dangerous dog is properly classified as a dangerous dog, that doesn't mean we euthanize the dog. That means they have 14 days to comply with all the requirements of owning a dangerous dog. One of those requirements is not just having it in a fenced yard, it's actually having a kennel for the dog with 5-foot tall walls, either chain link fence, type fence buried in the ground, or a cement floor, a roof, and it would, there's an insurance requirement. You can't walk the dog outside of your yard without a muzzle. It can't be walked by anyone under the age of 16. And just because it's labeled or classified a dangerous dog doesn't mean we would euthanize the dog. They would have 14 days to meet all the requirements. After the 14th day, if they haven't met all the requirements, we would seize the dog, hold it for an additional 14 days. And at that point in time, if they haven't met the requirements, then it would be euthanized. So just labeling it or classifying it a dangerous dog doesn't mean we euthanize it. The only time that would come into play is we did have one of those, and the owner agreed that yes, this is a dangerous dog. It put a 7-year-old girl in the hospital badly, and he agreed it was a dangerous dog, and we had it euthanized. But even in that instance, he would have had the opportunity to meet all the requirements and keep the dog.
And these are all set by state statute, so we don't pick and choose the requirements.
No, and I think Joe might have misspoken a little bit there. Yeah, the city of Brainerd follows the state statutes on the dangerous and potentially dangerous dog statutes, and they're very well defined.
Well, Mayor and Council, under Brainerd Code 900.27, it states that if the City Council does not order the, assuming if you deem it dangerous, if you don't order destruction of the animal, the city may order any of the following, which is the list that Mike was just going through: enclosure, warning signs, the public liability insurance, and muzzling. And it also says any and all additional requirements permitted under state law, such as requiring that it be registered. It can be required that the dog be sterilized, because dangerous dogs are supposed to be sterilized, and you can require that it be microchipped. So under the way, and the way that state law is set up relative to city code is that cities have the right under state law to really do their own thing. They don't have to follow all the dictates of city law or state law if their code does something somewhat differently. So you have a range of options if you designate this as a dangerous animal.
And we get to pick and choose. It doesn't necessarily have to be muzzled at all times, but we could make that determination if we wanted.
Correct. The city may, as an alternative, order any or all of the following, is what your ordinance says.
Okay.
Mr. Chair,
Jan.
this is Lambert, for you or for Joe. So are you saying we do a motion, we can put a conditions on it that they must make, if like penned or kennel or something, and if they continue to have issues with that, we can then make a condition that they have to proceed to the next step or something like that? They have to go one step further?
It sounds, Jan, like we can do that if we make the determination it is a dangerous dog.
Okay.
Then we decide what the rules are regarding.
Okay.
But if we don't make a determination that it is dangerous, we have no recourse until a future event may or may not happen where we are back at a hearing again.
Okay, thanks.
Kelly.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm ready to make that motion that this is a dangerous dog and it should not be euthanized, but I'd like to hear before I make the motion from Mike what the conditions are that he recommends so we can move forward all in one motion.
Can I speak? Can any of
Well-
you hear me, or can I speak?
We can hear you. Hang on, Erica. We have a question from Kelly to Mike, and let's have Mike answer.
Yep. Kelly, so somebody had said 900.27. Under 900.25, in the Brainerd ordinance, it says it's going to take this from the state statutes. If they had a proper enclosure, which is defined a 900.25 subdivision 2, if they had that proper enclosure and the dog couldn't get off their property, probably would never be any other problems with this dog. Reference here to the having a dog labeled a dangerous dog is the insurance requirement. It's an expense. It's a big expense. It could be thousands of dollars per year. You have to have, I believe it's $300,000 public liability insurance, minimum of $300,000, covering anybody bitten by the dog or any domestic animal. That's the biggest hindrance. The proper enclosure would probably, I'm not saying it's going to stop all these problems, because if they don't put it in a proper enclosure and it gets away, what could the Z enclosure do? But if they had a proper enclosure, which is defined on subdivision 2, and used it, I don't see what any other problems could happen. It would never be able to get out of its property again.
So you had mentioned earlier, why did I bring up Matt, the one that owns the Coonhound? I brought it up because, and I have it on video, them not being intimidated, them saying they are willing to testify on my behalf, them being very calm and stating that Rain was calm. They have never had a problem with her. Rain's guilty of getting loose? Yes. As I stated before, we recently installed a full electronic scent system for her. We have a fully formed giant Rain. The only problem before was that we had a portion of the fence open to move a vehicle in. And we have that secured now. Our fence is completely secured. On top of it, she has an electric fence. And
Thank you, Erica.
it's not that we don't take care of our dogs. It's that we have 3 children who constantly open doors.
Yeah. Okay, Erica, please, any comments, please get recognized first and then direct all your comments to me or through me, or not to any other individuals. Mike.
Yeah, the fence they have is not would not be considered a proper enclosure. And the electric fence, as far as the underground electric fences go, I've probably picked up 25 dogs this year that had underground electric fences with collars properly attached. They can just, once they get past them 10 or 12 feet, they're no longer getting a stimulation or a shock, and that is not going to be effective on this dog.
Okay, thank you, Mike. I'll open it up for any council questions, or if we have, Kelly, if you're ready to make that motion.
Mr. President, I have one comment.
Wayne, absolutely.
Yes, I'm just concerned that if we don't take action as a city council and this dog does harm some individual, I'm just concerned that somehow we would be not looked at very favorable if we didn't take some action to contain this dog. Not leashing the dog. That is that's my concern. I'm just concerned as a city council. That's all.
Do we have anybody willing to make a motion here? Kelly.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move that this dog be deemed a dangerous dog, but not be euthanized, and the dog owner be required to provide proper enclosure, proper licensing, proper vaccination, and proper proof of insurance, and that Mike O'Brien report back to the council within 14 days that these have been done.
Is there a second to the motion?
This is Lambert. I will second this motion. To be honest, I think it's in the best interest of of Rain to have this motion go through.
Okay, Kelly, speak to your motion.
This dog owner should do all this stuff anyway.
Have all of that
We
stuff.
have all of her, she's got rabies.
Please, you haven't been recognized. The city council is debating a motion right now. Let's please be calm. Any other council members speak to or against the motion?
Mike has been able to speak. I haven't. How is that fair?
Erica, you were the first one to speak. I'm trying to be fair here.
But it's, and he has so much false stuff on there.
Erica,
I will take my.
we're trying to follow the procedure of decorum here, where there was a motion made and now the city council discusses it, debates it with each other, and then votes on it. We're not taking any more testimony unless any member of the council has a question. Any other council members that have any comments on the motion? Seeing no other discussion, we will go for the vote. And the motion to restate it was to declare it a dangerous dog without euthanizing it and requiring the proper enclosure, the proper insurance, the 4 or 5 items that Kelly mentioned.
Proper enclosure, licensing, vaccination, and insurance proof.
Thank you for that. And Mike will get back to us at our next council meeting or within 14 days of this getting done. Seeing no other discussion, we will vote by roll call.
T. Eric.
Yes.
T. Erickson, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Lambert.
Yes.
Stunek. Pritchett.
No.
Evans.
Yes.
W. Erickson. W. Erickson.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes. I believe that is a 6-1 vote. Motion prevails.
It is.
Mike, you have a comment?
I have.
What are we doing in 14 days if these conditions haven't been met? I mean, what would you have me do?
Kelly.
Report back to the council, Mike. We'll tell you then.
Get us a report in 14 days. We'll have it on our next council agenda and
Okay.
make decisions if progress isn't being made.
Mike,
Okay.
speak.
Thank you, everybody. Erica, you had your opportunity to speak at your hearing, and we
Mike has.
gave you a second hearing.
Lied about.
Okay, that brings us to the next item on our agenda, which is item number 6, subpoint A, presentations from the Brainerd Lakes Area Economic Development Corporation. Tyler Glenn, take it away, Tyler.
Well, good evening, everyone. Just a brief update. I know you've got a very long agenda here tonight. Of course, as all of you know, I'm happy to present at any one of the council meetings that I am asked to, and certainly would provide a more updated response or a more lengthy response at potentially the next one to keep your agenda moving. But just a few quick things to report on. Just to give you an update, we've got a few. Mike Merkness with our key recruitment program is working on 3 potentially new positions, 2 of them inside the city of Brainerd. So that's exciting that people are moving back to getting hiring some new employees and keeping things moving forward, certainly on the manufacturing side. So that's good news. We'll give a brief update on, we met with with City Administrator Bergman, Community Development Director Chansky, myself, and Bruce Buxton last Friday, discussing River to Rail and opportunities to move that program forward, along with potentially bringing some of the other groups that have a vested interest in seeing Brainerd and downtown Brainerd move forward and keep some, get some momentum back with some of the activity that's going to be happening, hopefully in the future as things get opened back up. We'll continue to meet, and we have a plan potentially put into place to bring some groups together to discuss next steps and ownership of those next steps. So good discussion that we had last week, and certainly looking forward to that program moving forward after the River to Rail incentive went through last year. So good things there. Lastly, I just want to also update the council. I've received a lot of very positive phone calls, messages, emails for the work that got done by the EDA, as well as the city in moving the grant program forward, allocating those dollars out. I know that Community Development Director Chansky probably will have an update for you as far as the feedback that he received with delivering the checks out that had been given to those folks that had received the grant funds. So it's a very positive step forward. It was updated and brought to the attention of the Bladec board last Friday, and I received some positive comments obviously after that. And I know that both David and Jennifer were on our board meeting. They received some kudos from our board. So great work, getting that moved forward. Great work by the council of approving those funds to get that money out there to help our businesses. So very, very positive. Lastly, there's some steps moving forward. I've had some conversations with the county administrator around potentially what will happen with some of these funds moving forward, and looking at some shovel-ready site locations to potentially do some things that'll help put some broadband in the ground and help spend the money that is coming out of the CARES Act potentially to the city and to the county. So look forward to working with them on that. So that's what I have. I want to keep you guys moving. And so if you have any questions for me, I'm happy to answer them.
Thanks, Tyler. Kelly, you have a question?
I do. Hey, Tyler, thanks for all the great stuff that you and Bladec do. It's as challenging at times as we're living through right now. It's certainly good to hear a lot of good news from you guys. I'm going to ask the same question I've asked every year for 20 years, and I haven't had an answer yet. So don't feel you have to rush.
Nope.
But it appears by my math, we've paid $1,200,000 as a city, more than any other contributor to Bladec in the last 20 years. In the past, you've stated you'd be able to explain this discrepancy. Now, of course, it doesn't matter because this city council continues to vote to give you the money regardless. So don't feel you have to answer. But I, for one, lone voice in the wilderness, would like to know why we have to pay so much more, or have had to pay so much more than any other municipality. What did we get that was worth that much more money? Now, I'm not looking for an answer now. Every time I ask this question, you promise an answer, but you never deliver. So, or you haven't delivered yet. So I'll ask it again. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Kelly. You're not the lone voice in the wilderness. I wholeheartedly agree with you, and I've asked that question many a time myself.
I can count to 4, Mr. Chair, so Tyler doesn't have to answer it.
Yeah.
You know how much I enjoy this conversation, Kelly, and I'm doing my best to get you what you need and have it make sense to you and everyone else, including myself.
We have people leave our fire cooperative because they don't like the answer. We don't even get an answer, yet we still vote to give you the extra 4 times what anybody else. Thank you for not answering it again.
Any other comments or questions from the council? All right, thanks, Tyler.
Yep.
That brings us to item number 7 on the agenda, which is council committee reports. The first report tonight is the Personnel and Finance Committee. Alderman Pritchett.
All right, now that I'm unmuted, I almost started doing the items from last meeting, but I think we'll start with this meeting. We've got 8 items on the agenda. We'll go through this as quickly as possible and as thoroughly as possible. I don't know, that sounds kind of like a contradiction. Anyway, item number 1 is the approval of bills, and I so move.
Second.
We have a motion by Pritchett, a second by Tad for approval of bills. Any discussion? Seeing none, we'll do a roll call vote.
I'm getting there. Sorry, technical difficulties. T. Erickson.
Yes.
Lambert.
Yes.
Nick. Pritchett.
Yes.
Bevins.
Yes.
W. Erickson.
Yes.
And Johnson.
Yes, that motion carries. Alderman Pritchett.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chair. All right. Item number 2 is custodial services RFP for City Hall, Police, Fire, and Streets. And I'll make the motion and then I'll do a little explanation. And the motion coming out of committee is to authorize staff to enter into an agreement for professional custodial services with Envirotech in the amounts of $1,765 a month for City Hall, $1,255 a month for the police department, $238 a month for the fire department, and $238 a month for the streets, and I so move.
Second, Stunek.
A motion by Pritchett, a second by Wayne Erickson. Pritchett.
Okay, a little bit of explanation on this. Yeah, this is kind of an eye bulger when you look at what we had budgeted. We were paying $22,300, and this is going to cost more than that. What a couple things happened is the business that had been cleaning was bought out by another business, and we're looking to raise their prices. So staff thought this would be a great opportunity to look for the RFP. We're recommending that we go with the second highest bid, and part of the reason for that is the current staff. We've got some people that are not happy with the services that have been given, that's having completed all the tasks, have had to remind what tasks need to be done, somewhat non-responsive. The additions on this that we talked a little bit were the fire and the streets department for $238 a month, being that we're going to have public, contact in the fire department. We thought that was pretty appropriate, and that this would be a pretty good time for this. So that is, this would put us with the same vendor as the county. The county has made comments like they've never had their buildings as clean as they have with this group. So that's what we got.
Any discussion from the council? I have one question. Like right now, we're paying $1,500 a month, and it's going to go up to $3,500 a month. So, do we have that budgeted?
That would be more Finance Director Hillman. The thing is they were going to, if you look, North Country Janitorial was the service that we have currently, and they were going to jack up their prices. So maybe we were getting a heck of a deal. But Connie, do you want to handle that, or City Administrator Bergman?
The additional cost is not in the 2020 budget because we did not realize we'd be switching companies. We didn't realize that our company would be changing, and we also didn't have COVID-19 when we were doing our budget too. So just a reminder, our budget is our best plan at any given point. Things have changed. So no, it is not budgeted in the 2020 budget.
Where are we going to come up with the extra $10,000, $20,000, whatever it is?
We have a savings, we do believe, yet from the police department, personnel services. This could be something that is a council special project for this year that it comes out of that line budget item. There is money left in that line item, about $20,000 right now. Or we're just over budget and we save on other areas.
Yeah, so I guess the motion didn't really say where. So Dave, were you just thinking just take it out of the cleaning budget and have to go over budget for the 6 months we're paying?
Yeah.
Okay, any other council discussion? Seeing none, we'll vote by roll call.
T. Erickson.
Yes.
Stunek.
Yes.
Pritchett.
Yes.
W. Erickson.
Yes.
And Johnson.
Yes, that motion carries. Alderman Pritchett.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. All right, that brings us to item 3, which is a request for additional small business relief grant funds. And the motion coming out of committee is to transfer $23,500 to the Brainerd EDA to fund the 8 remaining small business relief grant applications. And I so move.
Second.
Motion by Pritchett, second by Tad Erickson. Speak to the motion, Dave.
All right, thank you. So as you remember, we transferred $90,000 from Fund 217. There's a typo in the packet. It's not Fund 417, it's 217 to the EDA. We had 52 applicants, 40 of which were eligible. 32 grants were given. That left 8 applicants, and the only reason that they did not receive their grants because it was a first come, first serve, and we ran out of money. So they were considered in the order that they were received. So the EDA is requesting an additional $23,500 to be transferred for these grant requests. I mean, this is a pretty good fund for this. One of the concerns was, would we be able to cover all the businesses that requested this grant? With this grant, we'd be able to. In the packet, those 8 businesses are listed there. Another nice thing about those is it also shows that we're not just giving these grants to downtown. A lot of these businesses are outside of downtown. And then the third thing to think, we're not sure when the special session will come to an end and what it will be, but if the CARES Act gets passed, we may be eligible to be reimbursed for some of these funds, just as we were before.
Excellent.
I mean, as we were talking before, not that we had been reimbursed before.
Right, we reimburse our cleaning expenses too, probably. So I'm gonna vote for this motion. I was against this grant program. I didn't think it was a good use of money at the beginning of a recession when we don't know how long it's going to last. So I still don't like the program, but I am going to support this motion because why not fund these last 8 when we already funded 32? Any other discussion? Seeing none, we'll vote roll call.
T. Erickson,
Yes.
Lambert,
Yes.
Stunek,
Yes.
Pritchett,
Yes.
Bevins,
Yes.
W. Erickson,
Yes.
and Johnson.
Yes, that motion carries. Alderman Pritchett.
Thank you. It brings us to item number 4, which is the update on the marketing campaign. And the motion coming out of committee is to approve the design and message of the campaign, authorize purchase of a full-page ad in Lakes Country Journal for $2,300, and authorize the start of a campaign service on social media with a total cost of $700. And I so move.
Second, Stunek.
Motion by Pritchett, second by Stunek. Sorry, I messed up on you last time. Speak to the motion, Pritchett.
All right. So as you remember, the council allocated $25,000 to boost Brainerd businesses. Our intern worked together, got input from Visit Brainerd, from the mayor, from 46 local businesses. The overwhelming consensus from this was to keep messaging focused on the fact that businesses are open. So that's kind of what this is. There are some of the images were put there. They have the Brainerd City logo on there. They're using Brainerd background so as not to be confused with Nisswa or other areas. Also using the Brainerd colors. And they're part of what was coming back is they were told to move slowly. So this is kind of the slow steps and why they wanted to bring this to council and get our approval for that.
Any other council discussion?
Oh,
Kelly?
Jesse Hansen is doing a wonderful job, in my opinion.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have a question that might be painful to hear, but I'm going to ask it anyway because I get involved in these questions all the time. Mayor Badeau, did you benefit financially from this?
No, absolutely not. And my involvement in it was simply to say that we need to make sure that the marketing campaign can't just be that we're open, because what happens when everybody's open? If you're marketing that you're open and everybody's open, you're marketing absolutely nothing. So that was basically my input on it.
Yep. Thank you.
All right, Pritchett.
And that was one thing I forgot to add, that you know, if you look at this, not only are we local or open, we're local, buy shop safe, shop small. So it can continue. It's not a one shot. It's not a one trick pony. Let's put it that way.
All right, Jan.
Yeah, I have a question. When we're talking about businesses, are we talking about even our nonprofits, or are we talking for profits? When you're saying we're marketing for this, is everybody included?
Perhaps Jennifer could best answer that.
Mr. President, Alderwoman Lambert, that's actually a really good question. I think this is just kind of general marketing for Brainerd, for our businesses. While the grant program was not, nonprofits were not eligible, I was more just a general, come on in, we're open. Does that answer your question?
It does, but I think we kind of fell short of our nonprofits in our area, but that's here or there. So, okay. And the reason I say that is because they also have been losing revenue, and so it kind of affects just as a regular business too. So, thanks.
Thank you. Any other comments? Okay, I support it, and I like the update. I don't think we even need the update. That's just thanks for coming back with it. Seeing one more thing, Jennifer.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, thank you. I said this in PNF too. I think one of the reasons that we're bringing this back is this is the first time that I know of that the city is actually doing some marketing. I don't know that this is typically something that cities do. And so we felt it was really important that the council had the opportunity to comment on the messaging. And in response to Mr. Mayor, Dave, we totally heard you. And then we also did hear from some businesses as well. I've heard several of them say to me, you know, we're open, but nobody knows we're open. So thank you. And I, again, want to visit Brainerd and Mayor Bedeau for helping us with this at no cost.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Seeing none, we'll vote by roll call.
T. Erickson.
Yes.
Yes. Stunek.
Yes.
Pritchett.
Yes.
Bevins.
Yes.
W. Erickson.
You betcha.
Johnson.
You stole that from me, Wayne. Yes. I was going to do it. All right. Back to Alderman Pritchett.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. All right, that takes us to item 5, which is police hiring ratification. So the motion coming out of committee is to affirm the hiring of Officer Jordan Host starting at the LEL Step 1 rate of $27.43 an hour with a starting date of June 8th, 2020, and I so move.
Second.
Motion by Pritchett, second by Erickson. Pritchett.
All right, Officer Holst has completed his pre-employment screening, began his first day on Monday, and started there. So that puts our current staffing in the police department at 21 out of 27. They're looking at establishing a new eligibility list with the Police Fire Commission on 24th, 25th, and will be coming back to us to ask the certified top 3 to request to approve hiring from the new list. The interesting thing is with Officer Jordan Holst, he was actually kind of made the offer when he was still finishing his schooling, and then they just kind of waited till he finished everything out. And that might be the way to go in the future for hiring police officers for these positions, is to approach them before they're done with all their training and do it that way.
All right. Any other questions or discussion? Roll call.
T. Erickson.
Yes.
Lambert.
Yes.
Stunek.
Yes.
Pritchett.
Yes.
Evans.
Aye.
W. Erickson. W. Erickson. And Johnson.
Yes, that motion carries. Alderman Pritchett.
All right, takes us to item 6, which is long-term disability insurance request for proposal. And motion coming out of committee is to approve the long-term disability insurance RFP process and timeline as submitted by Integrity Employee Benefits, and I so move.
Second.
By Stunek, Alderman Pritchett.
Okay, this is something that state law requires us to do every 5 years to go out for these bids. There's an email attached with the timeline, and there's probably not going to be a whole lot of change in our rates. They're competitive. They may go down a little bit, but it should stay within the ballpark.
All right, any other discussion? Seeing none, we'll vote.
T. Erickson.
Yes.
Lambert.
Yes.
Stunek.
Yes.
Pritchett.
Yes.
Evans.
Aye.
W. Erickson.
Yes.
And Johnson.
Yes, motion carries. Alderman Pritchett.
All right, getting into the home stretch with item number 7. Consideration to finalize the liquor license fee for 7/1/2020 renewal. Like we've never talked about this before. Okay, so the motion coming out of committee is in dealing with liquor licenses affected by COVID-19 that have already been previously identified for the renewal of the 7/1/2020 to 6/30/2021. They be reduced by a prorated 4 months and then reduce the remaining fee by 50%. Billing will be done prior to the end of June with fees payable within 90 days, and I so move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Pritchett?
Okay, so when you look at this, we basically had 3 steps in dealing with liquor licenses: to waive, to prorate, and to reduce by 50%. So basically, simply what this is going to do is get rid of the prorating, because now all these businesses will be able to open and don't have to worry about the outside seating.
Okay, any discussion, questions? We'll vote.
T. Erickson. T. Erickson. Tad.
Yes.
Lambert. Lambert.
Yes.
Stunek. Pritchett.
Yes.
Bevins.
Aye.
W. Erickson.
Yes.
And Johnson.
Yes, that motion carries. Alderman Pritchett.
All right, thank you. And last item is number 8, is the Skillet Restaurant liquor license from July 1st, 2019 to June 30th, 2020. Motion coming out of committee is to refund the entire under the premise that Mr. Mattson would not have needed a license until the approval from the health department. And the fee for July 1st, 2019 to June 30th, 2020 would have been prorated per city code, and a refund of the fee from October 2019 to June 2020 is allowed per state statute due to the fire. The refund will be applied to the July 1st, 2020 renewal fee, with any remainder being returned to Mr. Mattson, and I so move.
Stunek, second.
Motion by Pritchett, second by Stunek. Alderman Pritchett.
Okay, this was kind of a Murphy's Law situation for Mr. Mattson and the Skillet. As it started, he applied for a liquor license, had to work on the bar area, wait for the health department, then had the fire, then had COVID-19. So between his application and now, he has not been able to sell 1 glass of 3-2 beer. All right, and so we're basically looking at this, that, you know, in our statutes in the state, it's common to prorate and refund. That falls under state statutes. This is not out of the ordinary. If he hasn't served any alcohol, it seems to kind of silly to charge him fees for alcohol license.
Any other council discussion? Seeing none, we'll vote.
T. Erickson. T. Erickson.
Yes.
Lambert.
Yeah. Did you hear me? Okay.
Pritchett.
Pritchett, yes.
Bevins.
Aye.
W. Erickson.
W. Erickson, yes.
And Johnson.
Yes, that motion carries. Alderman Pritchett.
End of report.
Get to vote.
Oh.
What? What was that, Stunek?
I never got the vote, but I'll say yes.
It is duly noted that Kevin Stunek supported the prior motion.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Okay, that brings us to 7B, Safety and Public Works Committee. Alderman Bevins.
I think we can get through this rather quickly. Thank you, Mr. Chair. We have 3 agenda items. The first one is improvement 20-21, the 2020 seal code projects. You can see the streets that we propose are listed in the agenda, and the motion is to accept staff's authorization, accept the bids as presented, and award the contract to Asphalt Surface Technologies Corporation in the total bid amount of $147,576.12, and further to authorize the mayor and city administrator to enter into the agreement with Aztec as such. And I so move.
W. Erickson, second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? I have one question for the city engineer, I think. I saw you have one block of 15th Street southeast, which could use it, but aren't we reconstructing that street next year?
I don't believe that's the right block. I'm kind of freezing up here, so give me a moment. I'm sorry. I'm completely frozen up. I can't see the plan sheet. I'm pretty sure it's a different block.
Okay, I was just wondering. Yeah, it wasn't much, but it seemed unnecessary if it is the street we're reconstructing next year.
I believe that's the case, Mr. Chair. Oh,
all right.
Tomorrow.
Okay, thanks, Paul.
Yeah.
Any other comments or questions? Seeing none, we'll vote by roll call.
T. Erickson. Lambert.
Yes.
Pritchett. Evans.
Yes.
W. Erickson. Johnson.
Yes, that motion carries. Alderman Bevins.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Half a third of the way through. On item number 2, staff, the motion out of committee is to approve staff's recommendation and authorize the attached change order number 3 of P&F approval to pay the application for the contract on their agenda. This is a $10,022.50 change order for Buffalo Hills Lane and Mississippi Drive projects, improvement 1609 and 1907 for, I'll call it turf establishment.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, we'll vote.
T. Erickson.
Yes.
Lambert.
Yes.
Stunek.
Yes.
Pritchett.
Yes.
Pritchett.
Yes.
Evans.
Aye.
W. Erickson.
Yes.
Johnson.
Johnson, yes, that motion carries. Alderman Bevins.
Thank you. Our final item is improvement 19-01, the Northwest 4th Street Cooperative Construction Agreement. The motion is to accept staff's recommendation, adopt the attached resolution, construction cost share agreement for improvement 1901 for Northwest 4th Street reconstruction and ISOMO.
Erickson, second.
A motion by Bevins, a second by W. Erickson. Any discussion? Seeing none, we'll vote.
T. Erickson.
Yes.
Lambert. Lambert.
Yes.
Stunek.
Yes.
Pritchett.
Yes.
Bevins.
Aye.
W. Erickson.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes, that motion carries. Alderman Bevins.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. End of report.
Thank you. That brings us to item number 8. Call for applicants. Mayor Badeau.
All right, the theme music is still being produced in the back. They're not done. They're having a big solo session right now. The drum solo is taking too long. So we'll skip that for now. We'll just move on. Call for applicants. This is the beautiful part where you get to hear from your mayor. I know you've been waiting, as have I. Mayor recommends, we got terms expiring 12/31 of said year. Cable TV Advisory Committee, we got 1 term expiring 2021, 2 terms expiring 2022. The Charter Commission, 2 terms expiring 2020, 1 term expiring 2021, 1 term expiring 2022, 1 term expiring 2023. A lot of options there. Get on it. Mayor also recommends terms that are expiring on the 7th of September of said year. We've got the long spiel. You know the spiel. It's written on my back. We're going to get it tattooed. We'll all know why the Economic Development Authority started when they did. Long story short, that's when they started. Economic Development Authority, 1 term expiring 2020. And of course, the water tower is, of course, looking for applicants as well. We are meeting again, so let's get started.
Alderman Bevins.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. May I request an update from a committee we haven't heard from at the next meeting, please. And that's the Rental Housing Property Committee. If you recall back in the days where we had 2 attempted murders on Juniper Street, and the discussion was something needed to be done, and we formed a separate committee, and I believe Alderwoman Lambert is part of it. And I think it's been 2.5 years. I was wondering if we could blow the dust off that committee and find out what maybe bring back a motion to the council or something. I don't know.
Mr. Chair, this is Lambert. Yes, it's been 2 years, and our plan was to have it done in May, but then of course, everything came out, the COVID. They don't meet in the summer months because of the landlords are so busy. But I hope by the end of the year, we will have something for the city council. We're very, very close. So if that's enough, or if you want more.
No, I just want to go on the record. This is why I voted against this committee. I mean, this just buries these issues that citizens bring forward to us, and they expect a timely response. If you put in a variance request, you by law have to respond to it. But apparently, I understand all the issues, but I also this happens to be in my ward, and I get to hear from these people every single day. So I don't think it's fair.
Mr. Chair, may make a comment.
Yeah.
We have had a very good discussion going on, and I think it's rather unfair to assume that you're assuming we haven't been doing anything, and we have. So, and like I said, we're going to be starting up again, and hopefully have it done.
All right, so I have a question for you on that, Jan. Are you guys going to be recommending changes to our rental housing code?
Yes, we are. Yeah, it's ended up being a lot more than just conduct on premise. They're looking at having one code for citywide. Instead of you have a single owner and the rentals. We're also looking at consequences for failure to have like license and stuff like that. It's a lot more in depth than I even thought it was going to be. So.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
That brings us to the next item. Are you done with your committees there, Mayor? That brings us to 8B, temporary extension of premises update. Jennifer.
Mr. Chair, I think David Chansky, Community Development Director Chansky, will be handling this item.
Thank you. I wasn't looking at that agenda. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. So on this, when the City Council adopted the COVID-19 temporary extension of premises, when on that resolution, it said October 31, 2020, or until further guidance is given by the state of Minnesota. On Friday, June, I believe it was 5th, the governor gave that further action in that allowing indoor service at 50%. Obviously, that was only a week, 5 days after our permit process had gone into effect. As of today, we've had 6 establishments apply and be issued a permit. We have received no complaints from anyone in the public or any other kinds of complaints around these extensions of premises. So it is staff's recommendation that we allow these extensions of premises to continue throughout the rest of the time that was originally allotted at October 31. Obviously, all the guidelines would stay into place, so if issues arise, we can still address them. At this time, allow them to stay in place.
Jennifer.
And Mr. Chair, I think maybe to add to that, we may see restrictions loosen up a little bit here from the governor. We don't know what'll happen between now and the end of October. But I guess I would say even if the governor allows more indoor seating, might be a good opportunity for us to see how this outdoor seating and temporary extension of premises goes through the end of October.
Thank you. Yeah, and I think it's a good, fun experiment. Let's see how it works and how creative people get with patios. So our last action, we set it to go through October, so you don't necessarily need any action from us today, David, right?
Not necessarily. We just wanted to bring it back because we had that other clause of or until other guidance is given. We wanted to bring it back to the council to make sure you didn't want to make any other further action.
Okay, yeah, if anybody wants to make changes, I guess now is your opportunity to make that pitch. Otherwise, we'll just keep going with what we set in motion last meeting. Okay, doesn't look like anybody's trying to change it. Let's go to the next item on the agenda, new business, resolution designating polling locations for 2020. Connie.
So per state statute, cities have to declare their polling places before January 1st of the preceding year for the following year. Due to COVID-19, the statute was amended and we can update our polling locations because some polling locations we're not allowed to use anymore due to COVID-19. So therefore, in speaking with the county staff, the county election staff, we believe that we can combine our polling locations from 8 down to 4, and we would still be well within the guidelines of the number of people per voting location. We also think this year that there's probably going to be more early voting. I shouldn't say early voting, but voting absentee, because you can go to the courthouse and you don't have to mess with the crowds, that kind of stuff. So we are combining our polling locations from 8 down to 4, and the resolution lists those 4 locations. We have verified with each of those locations that we can use them for our polling locations during 2020. We're also hoping that now we can have more shifts for our election judges, so it's not as extremely of a long day. We're just getting to where we're getting people that are interested. The letters went out on Friday, so we're hoping to have enough to provide shifts and it won't be such a long day.
Okay, looking for a motion. Pritchett?
Move to approve.
Lambert, second.
Got a motion by Pritchett and a second by Lambert to adopt the attached resolution. Is there any discussion on it? So I have a question. I generally think more polling locations are better than fewer polling locations. So are we just gonna go down to 4 temporarily because of COVID and maybe go back up to 8 in 2022, or what's the intention here?
When we get to 2022 to be a redistricting year due to the census, so it is possibly that we can maintain the 4 polling locations, which is going to help reduce expenses, and it will also help us with the election judges. It's getting to be too long of a day from 5:30 a.m. until 10:30 p.m. Plus, then the head judge has to come back to the courthouse. So I think it'll help us get more election judges and get them more interested and make the process go better. And I think that it won't be an issue going down to 4 polling locations.
I disagree. I agree that it'd be a good thing to do this year, but I think long term, even though it costs a little bit and it's challenging to get people there, this is our democracy. This is people out voting. We should make it as easy as possible and not increase lines if we don't have to. And we're talking $10,000, $15,000 a year of extra costs. It's not breaking our bank. But I'll support this resolution for 2020, but I want to be up at 8, 9 locations in 2022. Connie.
Add on to the motion also to authorize staff to work with the county on sending out polling location change notices and only taking that to 1 per household instead of every registered voter. Again, for the reason
of that, Pritchett?
Definitely.
I'm okay with it too.
Any other discussion?
T. Erickson.
Yes.
Lambert.
Yes.
Stunek.
Yes.
Pritchett.
Yes.
Bevins.
Aye.
W. Erickson.
Yes.
And Johnson.
Yes, that motion carries. That brings us to public forum. We'll open the public forum at 9 o'clock. Let's unmute the call-in users. And if anybody is here to speak on a matter that was not on tonight's agenda, please say your name and address.
Cheryl Peterson, 1518 Quint Street in Brainerd.
Okay, Cheryl, you are recognized to speak at the public forum.
Okay, now I know you guys don't want to talk to me, but I do have a couple of things to say before you meet later privately, which I know my name will be brought up. So, even though the city of Brainerd is all under the same umbrella, I recognize that you're all sitting in separate chairs. Now, I have this citation from the police station, which is now in the hands of the prosecutor and the court. It's not in the hands of the city council. I did send every one of you members and Jennifer and David Chansky a thank you letter with an option. I didn't receive anything back. I didn't receive an email back. I've left David several phone calls, voicemails, cold, frozen shoulder, have not received a phone call back. David, I just sent you another email. Haven't received anything back. I'm a businesswoman in this town. I was forced to, at 4:50 on the very last day, to run for city council. If you can't beat them, you join them. So I'll be right alongside you guys if I make it. You know, if I can't change anything externally, I'll do it internally. So I'm frustrated. I'm very angry. I did speak to Jennifer finally after how many weeks? She did send me an email asking me for my phone number. We did speak. She told me that I could continue with my business, running it while this is going on, all of this drama, which has got me scared to death, scared so bad that I'm looking for property outside of town. I lived in my home for 25 years. I shouldn't have to be thinking of running just to save these souls that I'm protecting. This is wrong of my city that I grew up in since I was 7 years old to be doing to me. So now what I want to do here very quickly is explain to you this citation that I got from Mike that has 3 charges on it. 1 is license required, 2 is commercial kennel, 3 is ownership limit. Now I'm going to explain this to you guys so you understand where I'm at. All 3 will most likely be dropped and thrown out the window. And what you're going to be left with is a very angry person who's going to be sitting next to some of you, hopefully. And changes will be made, okay? I'll be happy to accept these misdemeanors, but they're bogus. The 3 charges, 1 will fall off because it's not even on the books. I spoke to the chief of police. It's for a commercial kennel, which I also have a letter from the state of Minnesota Board of Animal Health, which backs me stating that I do not meet the definition of a kennel pursuant to Minnesota statutes, nor am I a breeder. I don't know if Mike O'Brien made a mistake or if he's just trying to make me look worse with a fake charge. That will be gone. That's number 1. The second misdemeanor is ownership limit. I am within my personal limits for my personal dog. Now, what I've asked Brainerd, what I've asked you guys to do is recognize the rescue dog. Ownership limits, I've met. But the rescue dogs, I need you to make some consideration for the rescue dogs. The rescue owns them, which I own the rescue, okay? I don't count them as my personal dog. They're within the rescue. So we have to separate them somehow. Legally, they are owned by the rescue. So I don't know how Mike is going to handle that. Plus, he added, when he added the animals up, he added a bird on there. Birds aren't, you guys don't count birds, you count cats and dogs. So that charge is going to have to be dropped and rewritten if he wants to. So that's number 2. That's going to be gone. The third charge, also a misdemeanor, is license required. I will license my dog when you are open. All of the dogs, every one of them are vetted. Every one of them have full vaccinations, although I'm a holistic believer. All of the rescue dogs have always been vaccinated per the state. They're all up to date, always will be. I don't like it, but they are, except for Smudge, who has a very compromised immune system. She's released by the vet because she's allergic to everything. She can't be vaccinated. but all of the dogs have never been released from the yard either. And they won't ever be. But I want to mention to you, the reason that you only have 150 dogs licensed in Brainerd is because no one's aware of the ordinance, because it's buried 2, 3, 4 pages deep in your website. Decades ago, and I know this, it was published weekly in the Dispatch in the Sunday paper because I knew it by heart from the time I was 7 years old. I could have recited it to you. For some weird reason, I knew this. I knew the ordinance. I thought it fell off, and I believe a lot of people in Brainerd. There's thousands of dogs in Brainerd, but there's only 150 licensed because no one knows about it. The police chief, as kind as he was and as wonderful as our conversation was, he said it's okay because Mike O'Brien, he finds the dogs that aren't licensed and he finds them. Now that's not okay, and it's not fair to our community. People need to know that they need to license their dogs, or we need to change that ordinance and not require this licensing, but require the vaccination of the rabies. One of the two. This is ridiculous. Either make sure people are aware they need to license. I did not know this, and I'm a rescue, and I'm required to know the rules. Okay? So when you open your offices up, I will license my personal dogs. Now, how am I going to license the rescue dogs? Some dogs are here for 3 days. Some dogs die within a week. The hospice dogs. Some dogs I might have here for a year. This is why I'm requesting a separate rule for the rescue dogs. They're classified differently. Now, I need you people, when you talk this evening, to discuss this. I need to be able to talk to you. I am a businesswoman in this town. I am also trying to get a hold of David, I know you can hear me, to submit my application for the conditional use permit. Somehow I need to be legal here so that I'm not under the fear that somebody's going to come in and take these souls. They are my clients. They are the ones that I protect. They are the ones that I care for. I shouldn't have to be frantically looking for somewhere to take them. This is ridiculous. Okay? I don't know if you understand what I'm going through, but you people are doing this to me. You can speak to me. What I'm dealing with will be dealt with in court, and like I told you, all 3 of them should all fall off. And then we're all going to feel stupid. Because like I said, hopefully I'll be sitting right next to you. I'm a nice lady, but don't push me. Okay, I would like to submit my application for conditional use permit. David, I need to speak to you about this. You're not the one that's charging me with it, so please give me a call. This is the only way that I can talk to you. I'm a human being. I need to be treated like one. Jennifer says I can continue to move forward in my business while I wait, but I don't dare put any more souls in danger, just in case. I don't know if Mike is going to come knocking on my door again and say, "Hi there, Cheryl, we're here to take your animals." Do you know what that would do to me? And do you know what that would do to them? A lot of them are under medical care. Like I said, I've got sanctuary too. It would kill them. Now, you might think lightly of this, or you might not understand what's going on here. But I don't take it lightly. I need to be able to talk to you. Possibly, could I come to one of your meetings and at least answer your questions so you understand? I know Jennifer said that she was surprised at some of the information I gave her. She didn't understand. Give me an invitation. Let me come talk to you. But this frozen shoulder crap is just ridiculous. I guess that's all I have to say. I just need some human cooperation from my city. And thank you.
Thank you, Cheryl. I'll close the public forum at 9:10. And that brings us to staff reports. Any verbal updates since the packet? Do any staff members have updates?
Mr. Chair, if I may?
Yep.
I just want to, I submitted a written report, but I just wanted to highlight one. I am asking the council if they would consider doing a work session in person on Monday, June 22nd. So and we'll talk about this during my, again, reason for the closed session is solely to do my performance evaluation. There will be no other discussion during that closed meeting. But I was trying to spend a considerable amount of time trying to do my framework. But everything is tied together. The framework is tied to city goals, and my quarterly talk is tied to the framework, which is tied to goals. So I spent several hours trying to do this framework as was adopted during this pay for performance when the pay for performance model was adopted. I think it was in 2018 to be effective in 2019. So the city ties this to core values, but we really don't tie anything to goals. In October, the city council adopted the comprehensive plan, the 2035 comprehensive plan. And while that's great, there are goals, there are policies, there are strategies outlined in the comprehensive plan. The problem is that they're 15-year goals. So my question to the council really is if we could meet on the 22nd to go through the comprehensive plan, goals, policies, and strategies, and try to outline goals for 1 to 3-year period. So have goals identified by the council through the comp plan that would go out to December 31st of 2022. So that's my request to the council, and we'll be much more prepared to have this discussion on the 22nd. If you agree to that work session, Jesse Ernster, our community has prepared a survey for all of you to complete prior to June 22nd, which will go through all of the goals and all of the strategies to hopefully help prioritize some of these goals before we get to an in-person work session. So, Mr. Chair, that's all I have.
Okay, and I'm okay with the meeting in-person work session, but I think it is only going to work if all 7 members of the council agree to meet there. We can't have the combo WebEx and in person. So I'd like a commitment from all 7 council members, and if they're not interested, then we got to figure out something else. But is anybody not willing to do an in-person meeting at the fire hall on June 22nd?
Mr. Chair, this is I'm going to have kind of a conflict there. So is it possible we could do a different day?
Whatever works for the council, Mr. Chair, is up to you.
Let's send out a doodle poll and find a date that works for everybody.
All right,
Mr. Chair.
And then as far as a meeting in person, we will social distance. We will make sure that there is 1 person to a table. So we will take all of those precautions if we do an in-person meeting. As you know, in the governor's order, actually local units of government and city council meetings are actually exempt from the in-person meeting, but we'll take every precaution.
Thank you. Any other staff report updates? Seeing none, we'll move to council member. We'll go to the mayor's report first. Mayor Bedeau, what do you got?
Oh, every single time. Just super fast, I just want to say that. Oh, is that Pritchett? Are you Pritchett? You are on the ball. All right, I gotta learn to wait. I gotta learn to wait for the music. It's entrance music. I just want to say quickly that committees are starting to meet again, and so that's some exciting news. I know the Walkable Bikeable Committee is looking to meet, as well as the Water Tower Committee, and there are others that are looking to do so. So I just want to make sure that we are communicating with those committees and returning their requests so that they can place those meetings, because that is something that we are allowing. So if we can please get back to them when they're making those requests, that would be fantastic.
Thank you, Mayor Bedeau. I wonder if is the Charter Commission meeting anytime soon, Kelly?
I meet every day.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because you can come to these meetings and throw barbs at everybody else's committees, but
we don't have a quorum, Mr. Chair. I'm looking to see whose responsibility it is to fill the committee, and as I look back at it's Mayor Bedeau.
Okay. All right, let's go with the council member reports. Alderman Pritchett.
I would just like to say thank you to the city and to the police department for, on behalf of Brainerd Lakes Catholic Churches. We had the Corpus Christi procession yesterday, and it's a wonderful thing to be able to go through and walk from St. Francis to St. Andrews, and it's very much appreciated that we're allowed to do that. Thank you.
Alderman Lambert.
This is kind of tailed off on Kelly about Blade Act, about money, you know, and I had brought up a few years ago when we first came on, I would like to see how much money we put downtown and what we've gotten back from it. Because we have put a lot of money downtown. It would be nice to know what's been spent and how much of, not so much the return, but how effective has it been. So I was wondering if there's a way we could possibly do that, Jennifer or Mr. Chair.
Yeah, there'd definitely be a way to quantify how much has been invested downtown, and to qualify the results would be kind of like Bladek explaining why we pay them so much. But I would be interested in seeing that information too. So I don't know if Jennifer, you can work with Paul or whoever and David and put together some information on what has been invested downtown and what changes we've seen.
Mr. Chair, Alderwoman Lambert, we will work on that, and I'll work with Tyler and with David on that.
Thank you. Otherwise, nothing else. Thanks.
All right, thanks, Jan. Alderman Stunek.
I just got a quick thing. I'm on 3 subcommittees and they're all running well. That's it.
Thank you. Alderman Bevins.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. My news comes from the world of religion, as you would expect. I attended my first parking lot church service on Sunday in downtown Brainerd, and everybody sat in their cars and they were socially distanced, and we listened to the service on 97.7, and it was really cool. So it's happening slowly. It's not all outdoor seating at bars. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Tad Erickson.
Nothing to report tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Wayne Erickson.
I just want to thank the council for giving the additional money to the businesses, the 8 businesses. Being a former businessman, that will really encourage them. I know it's been a difficult journey that they've been on. And I think for them to know the city council, the city of Brainerd is behind them and trying to help even in a small way. I just want to thank you all for approving the grant. That's going to go a long ways. Thank you. That's all.
Muted myself. And I have nothing to add. So unless I miss anybody, any staff members, anybody, doesn't look like anybody's trying to talk, I'll take a motion to adjourn to a closed session pursuant to MN Statutes 13D.05 Subdivision 3A to conduct the city administrator performance review.
So move.
Okay.
Second.
We have a second. So I want to, maybe I should have done this before we had the motion, but everybody out, because it is a closed session, we are going to reopen the closed session. So if anybody wants to be notified when we reopen, we will send out an email. So we aren't going to take action after the closed session, but we will open back up to open session. So Teresa, do you want us to shoot you an email as we're reopening the meeting?
Yeah, that would be nice if you could do that.
Shoot you an email, and then you can call in and rejoin us.
Mr. Chair, we do have another call-in user too. I don't know if you want an email when we come back in.
Unmute the call-in user. Cheryl, do you want to be notified by email when we go back into open session after our closed session?
Well, it would be nice just in case I'm brought up. And I did have one other thing I wanted to mention. I don't know if now is the right time. Just a short thing.
It's not the right time, Cheryl, but I'll hear you out. What do you have?
Okay. Well, it's just the you betcha. Just my thought quick is extremely frivolous for a tourist town during a pandemic.
It could have helped at least 7 small nonprofits who also support businesses in Brainerd. It kills me because I spend thousands and thousands here in Brainerd with community community interaction, servicing, shop supplies. My vet gets thousands, to the tune of up to 25,000 a year. The Minnesota Investment Fund was meant for all businesses, and you guys narrowed it down, funneled it down, specified it down again, and thinned it down to just certain businesses. And it is just weighing on my back so bad that you did that. Just the 25,000 that's being spent on ads, tourists are going to come here no matter what. And I don't like that during this time because I'm an immunocompromised person. I am stuck here. I don't care how many businesses you open. I think it's a shame. And I could have definitely used that 3,000. I just want you guys to think about that seriously. That money was not just meant for a few that you thinned it down and thinned it down and thinned it down. And yes, churches are classified differently within the nonprofits, and I don't know how they feel about it. I'm an atheist, so I don't know how they feel about it. I can't even imagine. But it's nonprofits are businesses here, and we do spend money and we do bring in customers. A lot of the other ones feel the same way because we've been talking. I don't think it's fair, and I just feel that this advertising campaign is very frivolous. It takes a couple thousand, spend a little bit of money, but 25,000 is an absolute overabundance. So
Okay.
that's my thought. But yeah,
Sure,
I would like to. Here's my
We
email.
will not send you an email when we are opening up back into open session. Thank you. Jan Lambert.
I was just wondering, would it be appropriate, could I ask for her email? I have not received anything from her.
Okay.
Sure.
Jan, it's
Email the Jan.
National Boxer Rescue, nationalboxerrescue@gmail.com. Real simple.
Okay.
Okay, and Cheryl, just to clarify, do you want us to send you an email when we are reopening this meeting?
Yes, I might as well just go all the way tonight.
Okay.
I'm very interested.
So
Yeah.
Jennifer, will you email both Teresa and Cheryl as we enter the closed session?
I absolutely will.
Thank you. Okay, so then into closed session, and let's vote for that on roll call.
T. Erickson?
Yes.
Lambert?
Yes.
Stunek? Stunek?
Yes.
Pritchett?
You betcha.
Bevins?
Aye.
W. Erickson?
Yes.
And Johnson?
Yes, that motion carries. We are entering closed session. Let's boot all of the